Hello folks, Welfare Ninja here, bringing you another nerdy video. Today we're doing another video. Oh, I'm sorry guys. Okay. I just saw something on my message board. Like, we are back with another video. This is part 2 of my Warlock video discussion series. Now, if you're interested in hearing my opinions on Warlocks or my rulings on Warlocks, please go back to the previous video, part 1. This video is entirely focused on the features that you gain for playing a Warlock with these particular patrons, as well as discussing some of my thoughts on these patrons, maybe. And then last but not least, and hopefully if we have time, to go into the Eldritch Invocations. Now again, I don't think we'll have that much time, and also I forgot, I literally only remembered, they were expansions on playing Warlock in Xanatar's Guide, and I'm afraid I forgot, and I missed it. So we're actually going to cover this now, before we get into Warlocks. So, now the Xanatar's Guide expands on each class with new archetypes, as well as some extra bit of lore, and some extra role-playing items. So here we go. There's even a quote. This one is from Zarin, Herald of Akamar. You think me mad? I think true insanity is being content to live a life of a mortal, drudging me with knowledge and powers is there for the taking in the realm beyond. That is a quote of this character. I do not know where it's from. I wish, again, at least with the other sections, they told us where the quote is from. Okay. Now, here we go. Warlocks are finders and keepers of secrets. They pushed at the edge of our understanding of the world, always seeking to expand their expertise. Where sages or wizards might heed a clear sign of danger and end their research, a warlock plunges ahead, heedless of the cost. Thus, it makes a peculiar mixture of intelligence, curiosity, and recklessness to produce a warlock. Many folk would describe that combination as evidence of madness. Warlocks see it as a demonstration of bravery. Warlocks are defined by two elements that work in concert to forge their path into this class. The first element is the event or circumstance that led to the Warlocks entering into a pact with a planier entity. The second one is the nature of the entity a Warlock is bound to. Unlike clerics who typically embrace a deity and that god's ethos, a Warlock might have no love for their patron or vice versa. The sections that follow provide ways to establish a Warlock character that could generate some intriguing story and role-playing opportunities. There are 3 sections: Patron's attitude towards the Warlock, special terms of the pact, and a binding mark. Every relationship is a two-way street, but in the case of the Warlocks and their patrons, it's not necessarily true that both sides of the street are on the same width or made of the same stuff. The feeling that a Warlock holds for their patron, whether positive or negative, might be reciprocated by the patron, or that the two participants in the pact might view one another as with opposing emotions. When you determine the attitude of your Warlock character to hold towards your patron, also consider how things look from your patron's perspective. How does your patron behave towards you? Is your patron a friend, ally, an enemy that grants you power only because you forced a pact upon it? Yeah, so again, you may have, for example, you may have saved a Fae's life or whatever, and then you made them, and then you basically like a Wookiee life death from Star Wars. Now, there's 6 options that I recommend. Now, again, you can talk to your DM to make your own type of situation, or your DM might decide for you, because technically this is an NPC. Your patron has guided and helped your family for generations and is kindly towards you. Each interaction with your capricious patron is a surprise, whether pleasant or painful. Your patron is a spirit of a long-dead hero who sees your pact as a way for it to continue to influence the world. Your patron is a strict disciplinarian but treats you with a measure of respect. Your patron tricks you into the pact and treats you as a slave. You are mostly left to your own devices with no interference from your patron. Sometimes you dread the demands it will make when it does appear. So yeah, lots of role-playing options there, folks, already. Let's keep going. Special terms of the pact. A pact can range from a loose agreement to a formal contract with lengthy detailed clauses and lists of requirements. The terms of a pact, what a warlock must do to receive the patron's favour, are always dictated by the patron. On occasion, those terms include a special proviso that might seem odd or whimsical, but warlocks take these dictates as seriously as they do the other requirements of the pact. Does your character have a pact that requires you to change your behaviour in an unusual or seemingly frivolous way? Even if your patron hasn't imposed such a duty on you already, that's not to say it couldn't still happen. Again, each one gives you 6 options. When directed, you must make immediate action against a specific enemy of your patron. Your pact tests your willpower. You are required to abstain from alcohol and other intoxicants. At least once a day, you must inscribe or carve your patron's name or symbol on the wall of a building. You must occasionally conduct bizarre rituals to maintain your pact. You can never wear the same outfit twice, since your patron finds such predictability to be boring. That would be more of an archfey, by the way. When you use Eldritch Invocation, you must speak your patron's name aloud, or risk incurring its displeasure. The last role-playing feature is the Binding Mark. Some patrons make a habit of, and often enjoy, marking their warlocks under their sway in some fashion. A binding mark makes it clear to those who know about such things that the individual in question is bound to a patron's service. A warlock might take advantage of such a mark, claiming it as proof of one's pact, or might want to keep it under wraps if possible, to avoid the difficulties it might bring. If your warlock pact comes with a binding mark, how do you feel about displaying it? Probably depends on the nature of your relationship with the one who gave it to you. Is the mark a source of pride or something you're secretly ashamed of? And here are the 6 options. One of your eyes looks the same one as your patron. Each time you wake up, the small blemish on your face appears in a different place. That makes me think of the movie Robin Hood and the Man in Tights. It was a running gag with Prince John, that his mole would move around on his face. You display outward symptoms of a disease but suffer no ill effects from it. Your tongue is an unnatural colour. You have a vestigial tail. Your nose glows in the dark. The last one really amused one of my players, and he says he may eventually take that as a binding mark. Now, because of Eldritch Blast and how powerful it become, I like the idea. Now, I did talk about in my monk video how there's basically a Goku class, like, or a Dragon Ball class with monk, with the way of this Sun Soul. But I also think that you can play a DBZ character with with the vestigial tail, only because of Eldritch Blast, and there are some DB's Dragon Ball characters that do prefer Kai attacks over physical attacks. I believe one such character is Frieza. No, not Frieza. I think it's Krillin mostly, I believe. You could argue Trunks in a way, because he mostly uses a weapon when he fights. So, maybe. Oh well. So yeah, they are the added role-playing elements to your warlock. Now, that's not to say that there are much more additions. There's several more additions, folks, so do not worry. And that is in the form of who your patron actually is. So let's get into it, shall we? We'll start off with the player's handbook, and that is the Archfey. Your patron is a lord or lady of the Fae, a creature of legend who holds secrets that were forgotten before the mortal races were born. This being's motivations are often inscrutable and sometimes whimsical, and might involve a striving for greater magical power, or the setting of an old age grudges. Beings of this sort include the Prince of Frost, the Queen of Air, and darkness ruler of the Gloaming Court, Titania of the Summer Court, her consort Oberon, the Great Lord Hirsam, and the Prince of Fools and Ancient Hags. Yeah, I forgot that the Queen, the opposite of the Summer Court. Yeah, that annoys me. That she doesn't really have a name. She just has the title, the Queen of Air and Darkness, ruler of the Gloaming Court. Yeah, there's no other name associated with that. Whereas Titania, is just Titania. You get now when you pick a certain patron, they may give you extra spells to your spell list. Now these spells may be from other spell lists. The Archfey lets you choose from an expanded spell list of spells you can learn a Warlock spell. The following spells are added to your Warlock spell list for you. Now this section comes up a lot, so I'm just going to say your expanded spells, okay? Your expanded spells for the Archfey are, for first level spell, Fairy Fire and Sleep, second level Calm Emotions and Phantasmal Force, third level Blink and Plant Growth, fourth level Dominate Beast and Greater Invisibility, fifth level Dominate Person and Seeming. Now when I say fifth, fourth, third, second level, what I do mean is what I'm referring to is not your character level, but the spell level, as in like a first level spell, which are one of the weakest of the categories. Now those spells the spells of first level can be cast at higher level, which is where warlocks can like even a warlock who's using a first level spell, yeah, that spell is still going to pack a punch because they're casting it at a much higher level. So, that is your expanded spell list. Now you do get that. Now the expanded spell list is not just the only thing you get at level 1 for going with this patron. There is more. Starting at first level, you have Fey Presence. Your patron bestows upon you the ability to project a beguiling and fearsome presence of the Fey. As an action, you can cause each creature in a 10-foot cube originating from you to make a Wisdom saving throw against your Warlock spell save. The creature that... Sorry folks, I got hardly any sleep last night. The creatures that fail their saving throws are all charmed or frightened by you. It's your choice, until the end of your next turn. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. Now again, it says each creature, so that includes your allies, so be careful. But then again, you get to choose how each one... Oh, I know. Yeah, you can't say, okay, you're charmed, you're frightened. It's all or nothing. At level 6, you get Misty Escape. You can vanish in a puff of mist in response to harm. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to turn invisible and teleport up to 60 feet away into an unoccupied space that you can see. You remain invisible until the start of your next turn or until you attack or cast a spell. And once again, you can't use this feature again until you finish a short or long rest. Now, this makes me think ninja. Because you're just like, boom, I've been hit. But ha, I vanished in a puff of smoke and I reappeared over here. You fool! So yeah, it's making me think of Ninja Smoke Bomb. You also have 10th level Beguiling defenses. So when you reach level 10, your patron teaches you how to turn the mind-affecting magic of your enemies against them. You become immune to being charmed, and when another creature attempts to charm you, you can use your reaction to attempt to turn the charm back on that creature. A creature must succeed a wisdom saving throw against your DC, or be charmed by you for 1 minute, or until the creature takes damage. That is pretty funny, but now keep in mind, folks, it only relates to being charmed. So if they're trying to frighten you or intimidate you, it does not work. Your last feature from being from your patron is called Dark Delirium. Once you reach level 14, you plunge a creature into an illusionary realm. As an action, you choose a creature that you can see within 60 feet of you. It has to make a wisdom saving throw against your DC. On a failed, it is charmed or frightened by you, your choice, for 1 minute or until your concentration is broken, as if you're concentrating on a spell. This effect ends early if the creature takes any damage. Until this illusion ends, the creature thinks it is lost in a misty realm, the appearance of which you choose. The creature can see or hear only itself, you, and the illusion. You must finish a short or long rest before you use this feature again. So basically, you can bring the creature into like an illusionary description of hell, the Feywild, or somewhere else, based on the old one, which is fairly cool. Like, it's really cool. Now, this patron is my second favorite, and is a favorite of one of my friends, the Fiend. You have made a pact with a fiend from the lower planes of existence, a being whose aims are evil, even if you strive against those aims. Such beings desire the corruption or destruction of all things, ultimately including you. Fiends powerful enough to forge a pact include demon lords such as the Demogorgon, a name that most of you will recognise from Stranger Things, Orcus Vraz Ublu, I think so, and Baphomet, archdevils such as Asmodeus, Despater, Mephistopheles, and Belial, pit fiends and balors that are especially mighty, and Uldrots and other lords of Yugolots. I have not heard of many of these creatures. So yeah, again, with a devil, it's going to be a bit more subtle that they're going to corrupt you. With the fiends, they're very chaotic, so your DM could have a lot of fun with that. Again, this proves to an example of that you can't ignore your patron. Like the very fact that it says, like, you know, you may try and be against it, but, you know. So again, it just shows, to me, it's another example of you can't go against your patron outright. You can disagree and resist, but in the end, you have to do what you have to do. Now, your expanded spell list for fiends are as follows: first, Burning Hands and Command. 2, Blindness, Deafness, and Scorching Ray. Now, Blindness and Deafness is one spell. 3rd, Fireball and Stinking Cloud. 4th, Fire Shield and Wall of Fire. 5th level, Flame Strike and Hollow. First level, you have Dark One's Blessing. When you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points, you gain temporary hit points equal to your Charisma modifier plus your Warlock level. Now, temporary HP is basically like a shield. You cannot replenish it, but you can replace the total. So, for example, if you have Dark One's Blessing that gives you, let's say 5 temporary hit points, and you had, like, the Wizard, he casts a spell that gives you 15 temporary hit points, that is not 5 plus 15. That is 15. You take the highest of your temporary hit points, but that's it. It's still, temporary hit points are still good though. At 6th level, you have Dark One's Own Luck. Basically, you call upon at level 6. You call upon your patron to alter fate in your favor. When you make an ability check or saving throw, you can use this feature to add a D10 to your roll. You can do so after seeing the initial roll, but before any of the roll's effects occur. Once you use this feature, you cannot do so until you finish a short or long rest. Now, Fiendish Resilience. Starting at level 10, you choose one damage type when you finish a short or long rest. You gain resistance of that type until you choose a different one with this feature. Damage from magical weapons or silver weapons ignore this resistance. Then here's a really cool ability at level 14. It's your final one. It's called Hurl Through Hell. I find this one a bit peculiar because if you pick a Pit Fiend or actually no, maybe not Pit Fiend, but if you pick like the Demogorgon or a Demon, they have no association with hell. So I imagine it'll be more like you hurl them through the abyss. Again, it depends on your DM, like. But actually, oh wait, no, it's not just through hell. Starting at level 14, when you hit a creature with an attack, you can use this feature to instantly transport the target through the lower planes. The creature disappears and hurtles through a nightmare landscape. At the end of your next turn, the target returns to the space it previously occupied or to the nearest unoccupied space. If the target is not a fiend, it takes 10d10 psychic damage as it reels from the horrific experience. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. So basically, you hit an enemy, and they go flying through all the different lower planes. That includes the Abyss, the Nine Hells, and a couple of others. So yeah, that guy is not happy. Now, folks. We're now on to the Great Old One. So I guess my body's still a bit sore from my fighting on Sunday for my Lewisport tournament. But yeah, we're now on to the Great Old One. Now this is one where the DM, if you pick the Great Old One and give your DM lots of control over the creation of such a patron, you're essentially writing them a blank check. With a Fiend and an Archfey, you have some sort of idea of what to go with. Like the Fiend, okay, your patron is obviously going to be evil. They're obviously going to be subtle about it, or very obvious about it. The Archfey, a little less predictability, but at least you know that they're going to be chaotic. A Great Old One, you have no idea, and here's why. Your patron is a mysterious entity whose nature is utterly foreign to the fabric of reality. It may come from the far realm of the space beyond reality, or it could be one of the elder gods known only in legends. Its motives are incomprehensible to mortals, and its knowledge so immense and ancient that even the greatest libraries pale in comparison to the vast secrets it holds. The Great Old One might be unaware of your existence or entirely indifferent to you, but the secrets you have learned allow you to draw your magic from it. Entities of this type include Gohandar, called That Which Lurks, Tarzudim, the Chained God, Dendar, the Night Serpent, Zorgon, the Returner. And again, I love how this is mentioned, Great Cthulhu. And other unfathomable beings. And again, folks, I am shitting you not. In the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition player handbook, in the Warlock section, under the Great Old One, you could literally pick Cthulhu as your goddamn patron. So for those of you that are a fan of the game series that revolves around Cthulhu, hey, and you're willing to, and you want to try D&D, there you go. There's a patron for you. Okay, now again, I have an idea of what I may. If my friend seemed interested in the Great Old One, so I have some idea what I might do with him. I have like a very fun idea that he may enjoy. But okay, your expanded spell list for the Great Old One are as follows. First, Dissonant Whispers, Tasha's Hideous Laughter. Second, Detect Thoughts, Phantasmal Force. Third, Clairvoyance and Sending. Fourth, Dominate Beast, Avard's Black Tentacles. Fifth, Dominate Person, Telekinesis. At first level, you gain the feature Awakened Mind. Starting at first level, your alien knowledge gives you the ability to touch the minds of other creatures. You can communicate telepathically with any creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You do not need to share the language with that creature for it to understand your telepathic utterances. But the creature must be able to understand at least one language. So you have to pick a creature that can at least speak, or at least is sentient enough to speak. At 6th level, you get Entropic Ward. At 6th level, you learn to magically ward yourself against attack, and to turn an enemy's failed strike into good luck for yourself. When a creature makes an attack roll against you, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on that roll. If the attack misses you, your next attack roll against the creature has advantage, if you make it before the end of your next turn. Once you use this feature, you cannot use it again until you finish a long or short rest. At level 10, you have Thought Shield. Your thoughts can't be read by telepathy or other means unless you allow it. You also have resistance to psychic damage, and whenever a creature deals psychic damage to you, that creature takes the same amount of damage that you do. That ability is really good if you're going up against Mind Flayers, folks. At level 14, you get Create Thrall. You gain the ability to infect a humanoid's mind with the alien magic of your patron, and you can use your action to touch an incapacitated humanoid. That creature is then charmed by you until a Remove Curse spell is cast upon it. The charmed condition is removed from it, or you use this feature again. You can communicate telepathically with the charmed creature as long as the two of you are on the same plane of existence. You basically turn one incapacitated creature into your loyal friend and possibly servant. That is, beyond a doubt, very, very cool. Some people say, wow, I'm surprised you did not pick the Great Old One because you can turn someone into your slave. And you're such a big fan of the evil alignment. Yeah, but man, I like the idea of fiends. I like the idea of fiends. I love the idea of demons and devils. So, that's what I'm gonna go with. Now, let's move on to the other two patrons. Let's see how long. Let's see. Will I have time for invocations for this? I may have time for them, or because of my throat, I may end up getting another cup of tea. I might take a break, have a cup of tea, and then do them. But okay, I may put it off until the rest of the day though to record more D&D videos because it is getting quite late. I've been at this now for nearly 2 hours, folks, so do forgive me. Celestial. Now, as I said, this is the only warlock that does not, in my opinion, does not use arcane magic. Your patron is a powerful being of the upper planes. You have bound yourself to an ancient Ebrian, Solar, Kirin, Unicorn, or other entity that resides in the planes of everlasting bliss. Your pact with that being allows you to experience the barest touch of a holy light that illuminates the multiverse. Being connected to such power can cause changes in your behavior and beliefs. You might find yourself driven to annihilate the undead, defeat fiends, and to protect the innocent. At times your heart might be also filled with the longing for a celestial realm of your patron, and a desire to wander that paradise for the rest of your days. But you know that your mission is among mortals, for now, and that your pact binds you to bring light to the dark places of the world. This Now, some people argue that it'd be very difficult to find a good. Like a lot of people argued that even with the Archfey, you'd be very hard pressed to find a lawful good or any type of good alignment warlock. I disagree because Titania, I believe, to my knowledge, I may be wrong, is very much a good aligned Fae. And good aligned Fae are not that difficult to come by. They're chaotic, yes, but good, very possibly. But yeah, everyone kept saying it's either neutral or evil. But the Celestial is very much, because it specifically comes from the upper planes, it's automatically a good patron. Now, you get your expanded spell list for the Celestial is Cure Wounds, Guiding Bolt at first, second Flaming Sphere and Lesser Restoration, third Daylight and Revivify, fourth Guardian of Fate and Wall of Fire, fifth Flame Strike and Greater Restoration. Now, Warlocks can be in some way or form support, but in my opinion, they're primarily damage dealers. They can slightly dip their toes in tank, very unlikely tank, and also support. Now, that's with the player handbook. This, with Xanathar's Guide, if you pick a Celestial patron, you can very much definitely be a support type with DPS. In my opinion. Some people may argue, I have friends who argue that Warlocks have a lot more support spells than they do. Sorry, they have just as many support spells as any other caster. To me, it just seems their features are more or less either damage or focused on themselves. So that's why I say primarily DPS, maybe tank or control. But again, I'm sticking to the four primary situations. Sorry, four primary roles: heal, support, tank, and DPS. That's what I'm going based off of. And a warlock is DPS or tank, in my opinion, with maybe some touch of support. This opens them up to a little bit of support, to more support, which means they could be a support role, but also dip their toes in heal. Now, you also have a bonus cantrip with this archetype. At first level, you know Light and Sacred Flame cantrips. They count as Warlock cantrips for you, but they do not count towards your cantrips known. So therefore, folks, that puts you up to 6 cantrips. And then if you count your Shadow Tome, if you pick Pact of the Tome, that brings you up to 9, I believe. Healing Light. At first level, you gain the ability to channel celestial energy to heal wounds. You have a pool of d6s that you spent to fuel this healing. The number of dice in the pool equals 1 plus your warlock level. So maximum 21, bare minimum 2. As a bonus action, you can heal one creature that you can see within 60 feet of you, spending the dice from the pool. The maximum number of dice you can spend at once equals your charisma modifier, minimum of 1 dice. Roll the dice you spend, add them together, and restore a number of hit points equal to the total. Your pool regains all expended dice when you finish a long rest. So yeah, once per day you can start healing people. But there might be more, let's find out. Starting at 6th level, your link to your Celestial allows you to serve as a conduit for ranging energy. You have resistance to that damage type, and when you cast a spell that deals radiant or fire damage, you can add your charisma modifier to 1 radiant or fire damage roll of that spell against one of its targets. At level 10, you have Celestial Resilience. You gain temporary hit points whenever you finish a short or long rest. These temporary hit points equal to your Warlock level plus your charisma modifier. Additionally, you can choose up to 5 creatures you can see at the end of that rest. Those creatures each gain temporary hit points equal to half your Warlock level plus your charisma modifier. So yeah, there you go, folks. Even, like, again, much more support role with the Celestial. At last, you have Searing Vengeance. At level 14, your radiant energy you channel allows you to resist death. When you have to make a death saving throw at the start of your turn, you can instead spring back to your feet with a burst of radiant energy. You regain hit points equal to half your hit point maximum, and you can stand up if you choose. Each creature of your choice that is within 30 feet of you takes radiant damage equal to 2d8 plus your charisma modifier, and is blinded until the end of your current turn. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. So the Celestial definitely opens you up to heal and support, but I like how it also still focuses a little bit on yourself in the form of Radiant Soul and Searing Vengeance. Oh, sorry folks, just have an itch on my head. Last but not least, you have the Hexblade. Now this is the one that Travis is playing. Matt is taking it in a different path as what's described in this book. I'm going with what this book has down, with a few additions of my own. You have made your pact with a mysterious entity from the Shadowfell, a force that manifests in sentient magic weapons carved from the stuff of shadow. The mighty sword Black Razor is the most notable of these weapons, which have been spread across the multiverse over the ages. The shadowy force behind these weapons can offer power to warlocks who form pacts with it. Many Hexblade warlocks create weapons that emulate those formed in the Shadowfell. Others forgo such arms, content to weave the dark magic that of that plane into their spellcasting. Because the Raven Queen is known to have forged the first of these weapons, many sages speculate that she and the Force are one and the same, and that the weapons, along with the Hexblade warlocks, are tools she uses to manipulate the events of the material plane to her inscrutable ends. Your expanded spell list for the Hexblade Warlock is Shield, Wrathful Smite, Blur, Branding Smite. First level Shield and Wrathful Smite, second Blur and Branding Smite, third level Blink and Elemental Weapon, fourth Phantasmal Killer and Staggering Smite, fifth Banishing Smite and Cone of Cold. You might have noticed that a lot of these are really cool attacks, and a good number of them relates to either your movement, yourself, or to a melee attack. Starting at first level, you have Hexblade's Curse. Now, I often forget this, folks. You might have noticed this. Starting at first level, you gain the ability to place a baleful curse on someone. As a bonus action, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet of you. The target is cursed for 1 minute. The curse ends early if the target dies, you die, or you are incapacitated. Until the curse ends, you gain the following benefits. You gain bonus damage rolls against the cursed target. The bonus equals your proficiency bonus. Any attack roll you make against the cursed target is a critical hit on a 19 or 20. Is on a 19 or 20 on a d20. If the cursed target dies, you regain hit points equal to your warlock level plus your charisma modifier, minimum 1 point. You can't use this feature again until you finish a short or long rest. Now, I keep forgetting about it, folks. I've been always hesitant to use it because I'm waiting on the right target, but I keep forgetting that warlocks get this back and their spell slots back when they finish a short rest. Now, you also get Hex Warrior at first level. You acquire training necessary to effectively arm yourself for battle. You gain proficiency in medium armor, shields, and martial weapons. Your influence of your patron also allows you to mystically channel your will to a particular weapon. When you finish a long rest, you can touch one weapon that you are proficient with and that lacks the two-handed property. When you attack with that weapon, you can use your charisma modifier instead of strength or dexterity for the attack and damage rolls. This benefit lasts until you finish a long rest. If you later take the Pact of Blade feature, this benefit extends to every pact weapon you conjure with that feature, no matter the weapon's type. Now, here's one of the biggest changes to the Hexblade Warlock that I'm not completely a fan of, but I'm okay with. Starting at 6th level, you can curse the soul of a person you slay, temporarily binding it to your service. When you slay a humanoid, you can cause its spirit to rise from a corpse as a spectre, the statistics of which are in the Master Manual. When a spectre appears, it gains temporary hit points equal to half your warlock level. Roll initiative for the spectre, which has its own turns. It obeys your verbal commands, and it gains a special bonus to attack rolls equal to your charisma modifier, minimum of +0. The spectre remains in your service until the end of your next long rest, at which point it vanishes into the afterlife. Once you bind a spectre with this feature, you can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Which I find funny because basically you can the spectre vanishes at the end of your next long rest, but you regain the feature back at the end of a long rest. So like, yeah, I like how you can always have at least a spectre every day once you kill a humanoid. Armor of Hexes. This is at level 10. Your hex grows more powerful. If the target get cursed by your Hexblade curse hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to roll a d6. On a 4 or higher, the attack instead misses you regardless of its roll. So even natural 20s can now miss against you. Master of Hexes. Starting at 4th level, you can spread your Hexblade's curse from a slain creature to another. When your creature cursed by your Hexblade curse dies, you can apply the curse to a different creature you can see within 30 feet of you, provided you aren't incapacitated. When you apply the curse in this way, you don't regain hit points from the death of a previously cursed creature. But again, this is handy due to the fact that, like, depending on how long combat is going for, you can keep going. You can keep your attack bonuses going from one creature to another. So, like, okay, I slay that creature, but there's still like 10 more enemies. Okay, instead of regaining hit points, I'll move it to someone else so I can increase my damage against that person. Actually, does your spectre have to be from your cursed target? I know I just read it, but let's see. No, it does not have to. It's a separate curse, so you do not have to use your Hexblade curse to use it. Now, folks, I will get into the Eldritch Invocations at some point today, hopefully. But right now, my throat needs a rest, and I'm being messaged. So we're gonna call it. We're gonna call it there. Again, we're almost at an hour mark anyway. So yeah, that is the patrons of a warlock. Now, my favorite is the Hexblade Warlock, which is why I'm playing it in thing. Now, when I first played the Hexblade Warlock, I was planning on at some point multi-classing into Sorcerer and then Hexblade Warlock. Sort of like Warlock. I do apologize, folks. My dogs are barking. Hold on. I just sorry about that, folks. I'm just going to call it here. I'll give you more of my thoughts when I get to the Eldritch Invocations. So this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed learning about the patrons and the warlocks and my thoughts on them. So this is Wilton Ninja signing out. May the force be with you, and remember, roll for initiative.